It's good to be back. It's good to be back here in the wonderful, wonderful world of TF2. Hi, welcome, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Copenhagen Games number 2. Oh, it's going to be a great LAN. I can already feel it in my bones here in the sunny sort of area of Copenhagen, aptly named, as well as we've got the over in this little side of the tournament where we're going to be covering the TF2 tournament, following all the action, seeing and chasing players down into a red robin stage of between 4 invited teams. And maybe we'll see some open teams a little later on the way, but who knows. Anyway, introduce myself. I'm TurboTabs. I'm going to be your host, your gracious TF2 guide in this scary world of Copenhagen Games. And I'm not alone, though. We've got some other experts here on the panel, as well as a crack team provided by Elite Gaming, provided by Phoenix Red as well, doing production. But on the desk with me today is Feint Gaming's coach, DumTum, and we've got the excellent expert of TF2, Eckstein. Yeah. Welcome, welcome, guys. Welcome to the desk. And it's LAN, baby. Are you feeling good? Feeling great?
Yeah, it's great to be here. Yesterday, obviously, prepping time for everybody, seeing people arrive. It's lots of fun meeting people and seeing everybody keen up for LAN.
Eckstein, my God, you traveled a long way to get here. How are you feeling? You must be feeling a bit rough.
Only just because of the festivities yesterday, right? But got into town early, got to scope out the sights of Copenhagen. Actually, we made a little bit of video content. Hopefully the crowd will be able to get to see later. And definitely just been enjoying Copenhagen. And as you mentioned, great to be amongst European TF2 as well. So many fantastic players here. Really excited for the games that we have later tonight.
Now, as a new LAN comes, boys, it's a new venue, the Locomotive Venture. I completely butchered that, but I had to give it one go. So, What do you guys think of the new venue? More space, kind of shinier perks. We're a bit more connected in this venue now. We've got more seats. I've heard we've got 200 seats here. Woo.
Yeah, the TF2 area is definitely bigger than last time. I think it feels a little bit more cozy than last time too. I like this venue from within itself a little bit better. I think the location is a little bit less like in the city than before, but apart from that, it's really good here.
What about you, Eckstein? You're quite the LAN man. You've been to LANs far and wide. Where does this stack up when it comes to venues and places so far?
Yeah, I think it's pretty great. I mean, a lot of space for all of our gamers here. We have a fantastic TF2 area. Everybody close in together, which is what you want. We also have a fantastic production area for ourselves, which is great, and going to have a viewing area set up later. I wasn't here last year, but I did spend some days in town kind of near that area. Cool to see that, but there's a lot of cool stuff around here too, a little bit closer to downtown, which is nice.
Now, I know what you guys are thinking, probably at home as well. Where's the Highlander? Where's Aggro? Where's all my favorite people? It's like, don't worry, NG mains. I know what you're thinking, what in tarnation is going on? But this is the 6v6 part of it. We're doing a little collaboration here in good TF2 style. So first off, it's going to be a bit of sixes, then you're going to get a bit of Highlander, then a bit more sixes, bit of Highlander. We like sharing here on the stream, so it's going to be good fun. But for now, it's the 6v6 show, baby. So still wait for that Highlander. Wait till about lunchtime, you'll be all set with aggro and critscast and all that. But in the meanwhile, let's get into the Sixers meat of it. Let's talk about some of these teams. Now, there's 28 teams that have turned up to the LAN itself, guys. But there's only 4 particular ones we're going to be paying attention this evening. And that's like the invited. These are the big boys. Yeah. These are the ones that have been hitting ETF12 tables with the big names. And yeah, so just to kind of get a bit more into the schedule as well. Again, it will be following these 4 teams. It will be a group stage throughout the entire day. So we'll just be kind of going through them like about 3 rounds within the group stage because there's 4 teams, 3 matches, very easy to follow. But let's get a bit more into these very teams that we're talking about here. Now, I'm going to give you both like a little bit of homework here. If you could tell me like just any team, anyone, any particular team that's jumping out at you right now. You must know one invite team. I'm going to start with you, Eckstein.
Yeah, well, obviously the European team that I would have the most experience with would be 7, with them making the trip over to Rewind twice, as well as getting to see them in the past. I think they might have been Crowns when I was at I-58 still, but they've been a team that has evolved for quite a long time. and really just putting the work in. And you got people like Tiger who have been around for so long. They stepped away a little bit, coming back in and just kind of refocused on their energy. So I want to see how Ascent.EU does against them. I want to see how SVIFT does against them. I'm certainly expecting good things from Seven, and I'm also just excited because I know, like you mentioned, that this LAN really has all of the top ETF2L teams, and it's really great to see the LAN competition because all these other factors, start to come into play. You're not at home, you didn't just get your cooked dinner from your mom, delivered to you. There's all these other factors of how did you sleep last night? Were you and your teammates out too late, or did you bust out the TF2 playing cards and start making strategies about how to attack Gravel Pit? What did you do last night to prepare for your match?
Is that the same for Feint Gaming, Mr. Feint Gaming coach?
Yeah, we've worked a lot in the past few weeks together to sort of improve what the team is capable of. They are doing really good so far. I'm having high expectations on my boys on Feint, and yeah, they practice a lot, and it should be all good. I'm hoping for the best for sure.
It's not just Feint, it's not just Seven. We've also got two other teams here. You might have heard of them. Ascent.EU, obviously a big team. Eckstein touched upon it earlier, but little old SVIFT. People are forgetting that little old SVIFT, but it's a mad different team from what I remember. I've come back a few months and my God, TF2 is just incestuous. Everyone's just moving about, shuffling all over the place. Like, he's going over there, he's going over there. I'm like, is that Sorex? No, that's Ixie, that's it. It's so confusing. And but luckily, I've got you two to kind of break down some of the players with me. So we'll get a bit more into the nitty-gritty, because I do love to talk about these 4 invite teams we're going to be following. There is some other exciting teams. We've got Lego and all that in the background, but that's the open group. We're talking about the invites now. So who is actually part of this 7 squad? Like, here, come on, we'll try and work together. We'll scramble it out, because keep in mind, I'm out of touch gamer here, so you're going to have to hold my hand, both of you, on the way.
It wouldn't be 7 without Cadis on Demoman for a start, obviously. The main call of the team, the core of the team. And without him, the team wouldn't be there where it is today, pretty much. That's the standout player for sure.
Yeah. And I think the Thalash and Tiger
for sure.
on Scout, that's just such a great combination. And then Raymond on Medic, right? I'm a little, maybe I shouldn't expose myself by discussing their soldier pair, start quoting players from other teams and how much I love them. But, they've just done so much great work. And I'm excited to see as well, what sort of other kind of strats end up being pulled out a bit. I was describing TF2 to a gentleman I met here who's a Counter-Strike admin, and just telling him and say, oh, it's 6v6, but you still see all the classes. And I know that some of the European teams have found some ways to work some pyro in, and definitely sniper and just very creative last hold. So there's going to be a lot of exciting strategies to see today, I believe.
Well, it seems like some of these teams are so eager, so prepared that they're actually ahead of time. I didn't expect this. We didn't expect this, but I know who was expecting it. Our casting pair, our first one that will be casting our first match for Copenhagen Games 2019. It's your boys, Eepily and News. Take it away, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, okay, we are here in Copenhagen. I am Eepily. This is News. We are feeling it today. I've got the excitement, I've got the energy. I've not got loads of sleep, but I don't think we really need that because we're going into our first map, which is Ascent SVIFT. And I think, this is a game to start with. We saw them battle it out in the main season, and good God, that was brutal. That was an absolutely brutal 3 maps during the ETF2 actually playoffs. It was just about narrowly did Ams and the rest of his boys manage to clutch it out. But Land's a very different beast.
On 2 occasions they met in the playoffs, and both of them were best of 3s. Both of them 2-1 to Ascent. Interestingly enough, we're going to be starting on Sunshine, and that was not one of the maps played on either of the best of 3. So we don't really know how these teams are going to perform in this first map. I'm not sure if they played in their regular season match on Sunshine. I don't think they did, so I don't know if we've seen much of these teams play against each other. They would have had scrims, but that would have been a good while ago, because Sunshine was earlier on in the season. So thinking about how they're going to perform, I think the big wild card, the big question on everyone's minds, of the players on these 2 teams, a lot of them have LAN experience. A lot of them have proven themselves in the past. But eyes, for me, you're going to be on Lucas.
I think on the side of SVIFT, 100%. It's got to be Lucas. He's the key guy you're going to be looking at. I was having a chat with him yesterday. He arrived way before the rest of his team. He was setting up his PC, and he was saying, this is his first LAN, basically. This is his first LAN, and he's on a team such as SVIFT, where the weight of expectation is huge right now, because SVIFT is a team which, at least from my point of view, they live and die based off of Lucas's play.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest of the team, they're fantastic players, but Lucas can turn the tide of any fight that he's in.
He's absolutely central to it.
It's
I mean,
insane.
they have the great scouts, Scruff and Classy. They're some of the best cleanup squad I've seen in recent EU TF2. The way they play around the beam and follow up on damage, they're amazing at it. And then obviously you've got Pappy and Genka, are more talented soldiers than most can hope for. So when these guys play together, they can pull off some really amazing things in team fights, even against Seven, Ascent, the best teams in Europe. Feint as well, you know, they just win some fights that you wouldn't expect them to win from the back of their focus fire and team play. So I'm expecting big things from SVIFT, but it's not going to be an easy task against Ascent. Ascent have, I mean, they come close to Seven in terms of LAN experience when it comes to the invite teams in this LAN. When you've got players like Sil, Drac, obviously, you know, Condog's going to be on his best form. Amps has been a monumental LAN player almost every LAN he's played.
For about, I think, 20 years or something along those
exactly.
lines. Abs has been in the game more or less. It feels like as long as the game has been, you know, in its current state, it's kind of like his experience and, you know, the variety of different teams he's played in and kind of just that collective experience over the years with all these different players, it really kind of shows. But I think of all the players, I feel like, you know, we've talked about Lucas on SVIFT, he's one to look at, but I think on Ascent, we were having a bit of a chat yesterday about Credu, because Credu's an incredibly interesting player. He can take over a game, but he's also, he's the kind of player where when Ascent is working, when their team play is working, Credu will just dominate a game. He'll get, you know, kind of 40 frags. But when things start falling apart, they've got to really rely on him hitting his shots on sniper, or sometimes they can feel like they get a little bit lost, you know. It's something we have seen before. We did see in a couple of the maps versus SVIFT, where, you know, once they start losing some of these team fights, they kind of run out of some ideas. And I feel like, you know, again, you know, they're all incredible players, but mainly I'm going to be looking at Credu and how they deal with these stalemates. And
he's one of the few players that you can rely on when it comes to sniper. He's more consistent than probably any sniper I've ever seen, besides maybe like Flippy and, you know, Jukebox, the absolute legends.
Yeah.
He's so consistent with it. And
it's
always, and that's when you have to use the Credu sniper, because he's just as good on scout. He can do just as much an impact in the game. But the thing is, it's all about how he plays around his team, and Credu's not as experienced as some of the other players in this matchup, especially not on the Ascent side.
Yeah.
I think some of the SVIFT players kind of lend themselves a bit more naturally to their team play. They've just got a good synergy going on. So I think they can shut down Credu. I mean, it's not going to be an easy task up against some of those SVIFT players. And I'm expecting big things. Also, Seeds, he's had notoriously great performances on Medic throughout his career. Obviously had his stint with Seven. So
yeah.
All talented players, all 12 players on this server could change the game.
It seems weird to just say, oh yeah, everyone on both teams, they're all fantastic, but genuinely, it's absolutely kind of crazy the amount of just raw mechanical skill, you know? The team play is looking great for each team, but actually, I think we are going to be going live just a couple seconds. I believe we're going to be seeing the first mid here. Yep, okay, so we're seeing just some early damage being dealt here. No real initiation. Oh my lord, such a deep soldier bomb, but not really going to be getting anywhere just yet. You see such a slow mid so far. Just kind of peeking and crawling. We will be eventually taking down just a couple players. It looks like SVIFT's actually starting to kind of lose the tail end of this fight, but Ascent's the players really being forced out right now, so super scrappy towards second. It's such a difficult second to hold, especially when we start losing things, and it seems to be SVIFT who's just about got crushed in the end of that fight.
Classy was trying to beat on the chase there, but Connor will make it out alive. There was a very early death for Seeds. I think he might have been the first frag on that mid, and it just doesn't bode well for SVIFT going forward to secure that frag, but they do end up winning the fight on mid. Ascent taking the rather passive approach after securing that med pick, probably the safer option. So they now are just backing out, but they have reconvened. They've got back together with their heals, and it looks like they're moving back into the choke.
Yeah, this should be absolutely fine for them as long as they can take position towards this point. They're going to be looking 100% to take this for free. They've got this 40% Uber advantage. If they can take mid for free, they can look to start moving forward to second, use this Uber advantage, and take control. Because, as I just said, second on Sunshine, you cannot afford to lose it for nothing. But Scrappy trying to get through this doorway. They will be losing one, and as a result, their 20% Uber advantage, it's not going to be significant enough. They will have to stalemate just after losing Hams here.
Yeah, and it looks like Adiski's going to try and set up to get some control on this choke. As SVIFT are making moves though on the flank, trying to get someone in. The soldier is diving in here for the medic. Going to get some really good damage. Oh my god, Connor will go down to the scout of the cleanup. That's not going to look good for Ascent. Swift are taking their time now, just going to heal up. Lucas watching this choke very aggressively, and it looks like they're going to be moving forward from this cafe area.
That's absolutely crazy. How does Gink get in, get all that damage, and then he even gets out alive? That's, I don't know, there's definitely some cracks in the defense of Ascent, and now we're going to see the exact reverse of the situation. Swift's going to be walking in, try and take this for free. They know that really the spam from Ascent isn't going to be all there. They were player down. Even with this spawner, they can't really do much towards mid, and now it's just as scary for Ascent as just a moment ago. They are getting a couple frags, so this is, I'm not quite sure how this is really managing to happen. Ubers did get used, and super scrappy, but they are starting to take some control on second.
They took in the fight through Flower, and they were quite aggressive with that Uber there. They didn't get too much for their efforts because they couldn't extend past capping mid. They really needed to secure that in the first place. They managed to get it now, but it looks like Ascent are going to come back in, and they did get some spawners. Damage being put out onto Lucas, but he does manage to make it out alive. The Soldier's not going to be quite as lucky. Gink going down. There's 3 players dead for Swift, but they're going to get 2 of the spawners. So it looks like things are going to probably stabilize here. Slight advantage for Connor and Ascent, but only 1 player ad. So if they can move fast on this, they can get in here without needing to use Uber, but it looks like Swift are going to try and mount a defense.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to. We've got some important sticky trap stuff, which is just going to delay Condog a little bit. And you see Lucas has no intention of letting them in, getting so much damage towards his choke point, and single-handedly, just that bit of spam, you know, Condog and Disney, they've just got to be like, look, there's nothing we can do here. We're just going to chill on mid. And so far, this is really, really even.
Yeah, it looks pretty good for them. I mean, both teams just taking a careful approach. Actually, Gink going to dive in here, but does get caught by the pipe from Lucas. So it looks like Swift just going to stay back after losing Gink. They're not a very successful sack for them. And Ascent not really going to go for anything too immediately. I think they're just going to feel things out. They do. Oh, actually, they've sent in a Disky for a bomb to get some damage onto Seeds. That's uncharacteristic. We did see it a little bit in practice games yesterday from a Disky. It's not often that you see demo sacks, but he felt it there.
Yeah, clearly it's such a difficult one to go for. You've got to go for 2 very important shots, and when it doesn't happen, this choke point becomes so much more open. You see now the position that Lucas can take, barreling forward with his scout, getting some decent damage, while the rest of Ascent are just having to get forced further and further back. Once again, Gink is jumping in, getting this super easy force towards Condog. Still 100% Uber on the side of Feint, and even though they're losing some players, as long as they can back out and really, I mean, try not to lose a scout at this point, they would be okay, but I don't know, it seems like they're just slightly overstaying their welcome. They'll be so lucky to leave with all of their lives, and it's just about picking up Classy here now as well, so maybe a little bit of over-aggression there. It seemed to be going well, but they couldn't quite scatter.
Yeah, and then looking at things now, Ascent are just going to take control of this second area, but Swift are making moves towards that shutter. They're going to walk out now. Lucas leading the charge, going to try and pressure them out. There are some stickies on the point to slow them down. They're going to be getting cap time. Seeds is just going to be fresh out of that Uber. Connor still got about 40% to charge up. Scruff now clearing stickies on the point. They're trying to pressure this. All of the Ascent players in front of Flower right now, and Gink is just left on last by himself. He's just going to try and hold that off. It doesn't seem like they're going to get much efforts for the push out here, and they're probably just going to have to move back to last, I believe.
Yeah, that was a complete disaster of a push. Just an early use and then losing 2 players right at the end. The deep bombs come in from the Ascent soldiers. They're dealing so much damage. Adisky dealing, oh my lord, he's just completely controlling both these spawn doors. As long as they can just keep the remaining players alive, they should be fine here. They're still just about a defense up, but ultimately, first round going to be going the way of Ascent.
Yeah, and that was a pretty slow, drawn-out fight. I mean, quite back and forth, but neither team really getting much momentum. Both of them able to shut them down and kind of slowing things down on the way forward. But Ascent managed to grind it out for that first round, and that's going to give them some confidence here going into the second mid.
Yep, so this is first round, you know, first round of the first map of LAN itself, and it's always nice to have that little bit of, you know, that little bit of kind of leeway now. If they make any mistakes, they still have a round to deal with, but Adisky's not going to take things slow. He's going to get some nice damage towards the choke point, raining down these pipes, trying to, you know, at least force them back towards this choke point, but the height initially taken by Swift. Now the counter jumps are coming in. You see Silenta's getting one, but ultimately Drac and Silenta's both going down. So now the height from Ascent isn't going to be so easy to take. They can't take this position, and you see how far they have to get forced back. It's so important to get these soldiers towards that high ground. Otherwise, you can just, you know, see the entirety of Swift just barreling forward.
The second mid win there from Swift. Looking a bit more stable this time around, managing to keep Seeds alive. Gink is going to be flying in to meet up with his team. The rest of them are going to be fighting without him though, and I think they're going to think better of it because they did have that player on the respawn. So moving forward there. On that mid, I'm not sure if we're going to see any fight now. Both teams are actually looking to contest choke quite a bit, but the Uber coming in now, the trades, both teams popping their Uber. Neither team going to commit too hard to this, and let's see how it stabilizes, I believe.
Yeah, we'll see exactly what their intention is here. It might just be a case of, you know, Ascent we've seen quite common, they'll kind of trade these Ubers primarily with AMs and, you know, just go for a kind of off-Uber situation, or at least kind of get those out the way. They're one of those teams which they feel like if their DM's kind of on point, if they're hitting their shots, you know, as long as they get rid of the Ubers, they can maybe take some of these scrappy fights. And, I mean, with the raw firepower that their roster has, you can understand their thought process.
Yeah, and actually noticing a Disky putting some interesting traps above that choke, kind of expecting the Soldier Sack to come through there. There are a few other jumps that can be done through Flower, not really meant through Cafe, but we'll see what Swift decide to do here. They did try Gink with the sacks earlier. Didn't have too much success with it. Obviously, they haven't gone for the approach that Ascent opted for with sending in a Disky. Gink now peeking in through Flower, just going to try and assess his options on the flank here, but it doesn't look like there's too much. They're going to have to come up with something. Lucas trying to pressure this choke, getting some pad damage with the long-range stickies, perhaps to weaken up corner for the sack, but looks like he's unable to connect on anything thus far.
Yeah, quite a common kind of tactic from this mid to second kind of position. You can see so much towards the medic, and like I said, just that one sticky, even 30 or 40 damage, is so crucial. Suddenly, every rocket becomes just absolutely terrifying from the medic on the defending side on second. So, something, you know, not exactly out of the ordinary, but definitely very effective. And considering how much space Gink seems to be getting when he goes for these bombs, I'm not quite sure maybe his timing's insane, or, you know, maybe there's some kind of cracks in the Ascent hold that other people aren't seeing, but the jumps have been good so far, but it doesn't seem like they're really finding this opportunity just yet.
Ascent are playing this quite passively on a hold. They're not really actively peeking Cafe or Flower too much. They have, you know, one or two players rotating as the Soldiers Swift both dive into Flower, trying to get some aggression on. Neither committing to taking too much damage here, as the second soldier, Pappy, will follow up a little bit. But they're all just rotating their heals very well. Actually, Gink dived in there. I didn't see that one, but he manages to get onto corner. Doesn't quite connect any rockets, though, so it's just going to stabilize. Opportunity now for Ascent to get a counter-sack in play. And I doubt it would be a Disky this time on the defense of second. Credu looking to move towards Cafe, and we do see someone is in now. Silentes gets a nice rocket onto Scruff to open things up.
Yeah, see the position being taken though. They managed to pick up Scruff and Pappy. Silentes, yeah, he loses his life, but they do get a better Uber. A Disky in this, and Drak now have both been dropping this Uber. So a position which was looking so good now, it's just a case of Ams, Credu, and Connor desperately trying to regain some control. It is a 3v3. As long as they can focus down one of these players, that's so crucial, but Lucas is having absolutely none of it. The tank himself, he's turning up to land already, hitting those crispy pipes.
Yeah, there was a really good decision there from Gink and Seeds. Gink was really weak on the top of the point. Both scouts were diving up to look at him with the beam. He manages to stay still long enough to get that arrow and makes it out of there alive. And now he's leading the charge here on second. Gets a nice rocket onto a Disky. They're going to put some damage out, losing Pappy in the process. But the fight looks like it's going the way of Swift. They are kind of controlling the space on second. But Ascent are going to try and contest this high ground. It looks like Lucas is doing a good job of spamming them out, and Ascent are just going to be forced back into their own lobby.
Yeah, once these stickies are on that shutter, it's so difficult to then contest, and I feel like at this point, Ascent, you know, they don't want to overstay their welcome. They may have read into this, you know, they do have about a 20% disadvantage, so they've got to be a little bit scared. We see Connor playing towards a spawn door, so he knows that if needs be, he can fight through spawn, make sure he gets his Uber, but ultimately it's going to be equal, and we're going to be seeing our first real off classes of the game. Credu sniping versus Gink.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see. I mean, Credu, we were picking up his sniper before the stream, but Gink he's known as a magic maker on any pick class. The man can do some interesting things, and especially when it comes to duels, I feel like he's got an edge on most players. So we'll see how it goes down here. It looks like Gink is moving towards top right to peek that sight line. He's probably going to charge up his body shot in any case, so they can get minimum 150 damage. And there is onto Silentes opening things up. I don't know if he's aware of Credu though.
See, the shot gets taken by Credu there, so he is aware now, and he will be just a little bit kind of knowing where Connor's going to be playing as a result. He knows Credu's got that buff. You can see the particle effect, so he's just going to be just slightly more aware. So a little bit of information there. They know that with Silentes still down, only for about a second more, he's got a little bit more space to peek, but doesn't seem like he's really doing much further than just trying to take a bit more of a 1v1. But on the flank, though, Pappy trying to control this top right, he does lose his life. So Swift are just like, okay, we've got to get outside because Salentis is going to bomb in. One rocket on the medic. Not quite hitting the second though. Swift just about holding that there.
I like the quick decision to go for the quick counter-sack rather than waiting for spawn timers to play into it too much. Still got out there as fast as he could. Unlucky there, not able to get any more than one rocket, but Adiski is going to punish Gink here for peeking that top right. Pappy, after meeting his teammates from the spawn wave, is going to help usher them back out into safety of second. It looks like Sil is moving lower, perhaps some top lobby control now for Ascent. They're going to charge up Credu, gets a 150 damage body shot on the scout, but he did have a healthy buff. And actually, Adiski goes down at the shutter. This is not looking good.
No, that's always scary. Losing your demo man, you know, this kind of far left-hand side from the attacker's point of view might be just a little bit open. Yeah, Credu's still sniping, but you know, there's definitely opportunities for Swift here. He's actually watching the far right-hand side. So, I mean, if Swift are fast, they can start looking to do things, but it's 3 seconds before Adiski's up. They can't really afford to waste any time here. They might have already lost their opportunity.
I think they're going to have to stabilize, though. There is 17 minutes here. They've not been able to get too much momentum pushing forward. This is the first time they've been stably on Ascent last. They do have to back up a little bit from losing Lucas here, but it's going to be hard for Ascent against a full Uber and Lucas about to spawn for them to push out here onto second. So Adiski's going to try and get some entry damage, perhaps open things up for Soldier. It looks like Sil is kind of committed here. The scout's going to try and help him, but he's probably going to have to back out here. Ooh, connects a nice flash rocket, and Adiski actually dies in lobby.
That's really, really questionable. We see kind of time and time again, Adiski's just a little bit ahead of his team. Obviously, he's a player who he didn't play with Ascent during the main season, so it might be a little bit of kind of not quite used to how the team's playing. They didn't get much prep before LAN, and maybe it might be the start of a bit of a shaky day, but the Uber's coming in for Swift. Gink, though, got took down just before the Uber got used, so as well as a better Uber for Ascent, this is going to be player advantage, and they're already picking up Scruff. Salentes wasting no time at all. He's jumping all the way through Shutter. Just about messes his rocket jump up, though, and Lucas is going to take him down. The rest of Ascent, they're going to try and commit to this point, though. They've got the frags, but they need to take this position. You see Adiski trying to run forward, but Classy on the flank, 2 shots Connor, and now with no heals, can they hold this?
You know, it was really good looking at the start when Sil had taken the tail end of the Uber. He was going to jump onto Seeds, but he got caught by his own jump, and then Lucas just hit like 2 or 3 times very rapidly, so he shut down that force. Lucas giving his life for the medic there, and that enabled them to slow that down, enabled Classy to get the opening onto Connor, so that's going to secure them about a 60% advantage here, which is a sizable one. It's definitely pushable on Sunshine last. It's going to be even 6v6 going into this, no player advantage in play, but they do have Credu on Sniper, Amps on the Engineer. Uber coming into play now. Let's see how they manage to push this one.
Yeah, it is an opportunity for Swift. It is right now, but they've got to start looking to go. Every second they waste gets a set closer to their Uber. Uber does get used towards his left-hand side. Lucas trying to go forward, gets some damage towards his gun. Still not going down just yet. Instead, he's changing targets here. The NG's changed off, so they're going to try and start getting some players towards point, but the Delta split from Ascent was so good to start with, but these late frags from Pappy and Gink, super, super crucial. Adiski trying to get these stickies towards point, trying to prevent them from getting any easy cap time, but it's just going to mean they're getting mulched, and Swift is going to equalize this.
I held my breath there. Really nice surf there at the end from Condog, but it won't really amount to anything. It was too little too late as far as Ascent are concerned. And this is what we were talking about. In those team fights, I mean, they didn't secure too much of an advantage with the Uber, but they managed to get in clean and create an opening for an even team fight. And they managed to win the focus fire, getting the better of Ascent in those exchanges. And when you look at the firepower, Ascent have the advantage, but the team play is definitely on Swift's side after the back of that round.
We've seen 2 mids so far going the way of Swift. It'll be interesting to see if we see a third, because that is what we saw a lot happening throughout the playoffs. It seems like Swift's mids are looking really good, but just as I say that, Pappy is going to get nothing really for his jumps. Thankfully, they do at least trade some frags. It's actually trading frags absolutely everywhere. Scruff, Classy, and Seeds versus Credu, Adiski, and Connor at this point. And the positioning being taken by Ascent is just ultimately going to win them this fight now. So we do have about equal Ubers. We have players spawning on the side of Swift. There's no reason why they can't keep a hold of second, but, you know, it might be an opportunity to start looking to try and take some things a little bit for free. We see aggression from Ascent in a lot of these kind of, maybe not off Uber situations, but kind of slightly less conventional push situations.
Yeah, it was interesting actually on that mid. We would see, you know, looking at the names, you expect to see a bit more out of Drak and Sil, but they've been having a tough time getting forward this game, whereas Pappy and Gink have been a good job of being entry fraggers for their team. And Classy, shoutouts to him after getting that med pick on the second defense. He did a really good job of protecting Seeds on that mid. I think it was Sil and Drak both had shots at going in for Seeds, but Classy just the anti-aerial cannon there for Swift.
I think it's definitely interesting to see, obviously, you know, for any players who aren't quite so aware, AMS in Predu, it's a legendary scout combo, but by no means a Classy and Scruff, you know, they may be slightly lesser known on the global scale, but they're absolute fraggers. And we see that as they take down Drak, absolutely no problem at all. Once again, a 0 damage bomb towards Seed. So between, you know, the medic and the scouts on the side of Swift, they're really, really on their game today. And it's kind of making, you know, these soldiers on Ascent, which they're some of the best soldiers in the game, making them look a little bit kind of coming up short.
And you know, there's one thing that seems to be a common trend thus far in these stalemates, as I say that still going down. Perhaps an opportunity for Swift, but it looks like Ascent are doing a good job of backing up. In particular, Disky, I mean, he's been getting caught out a little bit on these stalemate situations, but he looks like he's in a safe position now. Oh, damage coming out onto Connor. He's actually going under 60 HP there. Going to be still passively positioned. They do deal with the soldiers. It's a bit too much to commit for Swift for that medic pick, and it might play against them as Ascent try to come into second here.
Yeah, that's so crucial. But the pipe from Lucas dropping Connor once again. That's going to be just absolutely disastrous on this push. We knew he was weak, but good God, man. We're going to dodge every now and then. That's just going to be crushing in their push now. So straight back to mid they go. And once again, this is Swift's opportunity to try and just get more and more for free.
Yeah, and it looks like Ascent all backing out. Adiski doesn't really have much health here, didn't get the health kit. He's got an interesting set of traps, not really going for a pick. Thinks better of it actually as he does Det here, but there's nothing really to contest Swift walking in from Cafe as the soldiers come forward. Classy doing a great job of shutting down Drak there. So Lentis is going to take some pressure as well, get some good damage. Frags being traded everywhere, I believe.
Yeah, well, it's trading frags, but ultimately the team with the Uber is actually going to be losing more players, and they're using their Uber, and even now it is going to be Gink, Scruff, and Seeds. We do see Gink jump in, try and get something towards Adiski, getting some decent damage, but the flank is in from the entire combo of Ascent right now, just a little bit too slow, so Adiski loses his life, and they might start getting chased down a little bit. It's definitely unconventional. I'm not quite sure whether Adiski was reading things differently or whether it's some kind of weird pincer play, but it's unconventional, but at least for the time being, it does seem to be working because Swift are getting forced all the way towards Chokes. Lentis doing so much damage, and almost a little bit unfortunate not to pick up Seeds there.
And they're definitely going to be running through with this. I feel like they had some good momentum, good damage. The soldiers are going to be leading the charge. Drak with a nice poke away and gets really good damage onto the soldiers. If this can be followed up, it's huge, but Lucas gets a stick trap kill onto Amps, going to slow them down. In any case, they've managed to stuff Swift back into that shutter, and it looks like they've got into second here. Equally, I want to say something about that mid defense. As they came in and didn't get too much with the Uber, they played not at all on the point. They got no cap time, and they just allowed a wave of 3 spawners to come in for Ascent and come in with a player ad for that second fight. And as a result, they've been pushed back to their last. So I feel like they either need to leave or they need to commit to some cap time there when they're coming in on mid. And it was a decision that wasn't made quickly enough.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there's some mistakes being made on the side of Swift. Solentes going to get absolutely denied. Ignore that completely. Getting shot out the air. Drax going to try and come in at the end, but between that heavy, the gun, and, you know, the medic playing in that position, not a great deal they can do. I gotta say, I feel like even when Ascent aren't executing things perfectly, they've got such a clear kind of game plan. We saw, you know, pushing forward onto that second, Connor was like, there is no way I'm using this Uber for free here. You know, they sacrificed the player, but if you can push these points without using Uber, it's so crucial. And Connor's read on what his team's doing, super good right now.
Yeah, and it's a crucial way to play the game. I feel like that's the one area that Swift have slightly been lacking in some points, where it just seems like their plan wasn't quite clear enough to get the better of Ascent. But Ascent, in terms of execution, you could criticize some of their pushes, some of their plays, but their plan is definitely clear and they're sticking to it. Looking at this defense, it seems like the plan is clear for Swift as well. They do have Scruff on the sniper, Classy on the engineer with it pushed up on the right side. No off-classing for Ascent. They did have an opportunity there after sending in Drak and Solentes, but thinking better of it, we'll see how they decide to open things up. Scruff could definitely be the one to get the opening pick here, as he is charged up on the left-hand side. No one peeking it thus far for Ascent. Most of them just playing around the lobby area. Again, not committing too hard, but I'm sure we're going to see some initiation of some kind of play soon.
Yeah, I think right now for Scruff, you know, the name of the game is just patience. For as long as he doesn't take that shot, they have no idea. This deep bomb from Drak, he gets one rocket, but he's not going to hit the second once again. Seeds playing super well, just playing in this kind of position where it's so difficult for anyone to get onto him. So even with a jump like that, it's not quite working out. Happy getting aggressive, nearly takes down Adiski. Almost unfortunate not to get that, but he's going to lose his life as well. So kind of scrappy here and there. Once again, it seems to be Abs is getting caught out in really weird situations. Maybe Lucas just has sticky traps of a god, or something's just, you know, not quite working with how AMS and the rest of the team are pushing up.
Gruff going to open it up, and with those 2 picks and Pappy about to spawn, this is a good opportunity for Swift to move here. Lucas actually is going to opt for a sticky trap in the ammo pack. It's nice when we get to see that. I think Ascent might be caught out by that one. It's not often that we see that in play. It looks like they're just going to try and charge up Scruff and get him into a position to snipe. Adiski might get caught out by this. He's in a unique position by himself, but Amps is diving in, gets Scruff. Adiski with the potential to do good damage, but another sticky kill for Lucas. He's been getting so many of those equally.
He really, really has. I'm not quite sure. I would say maybe he's just got an insane read on the Ascent scouts because they do seem to be going down just that little bit too easy. We see Drac overstaying his welcome towards lobby. I think he'll just about manage to get out, and that's pretty crucial. When you lose both scouts on a hold, it becomes so difficult to deny any of these jumpers, and I mean, this is kind of absolute carnage at this point. Both teams desperately battling to try and take control of lobby, but without a demo now. We see how far Adiski's going in. He will get jumped eventually, but that's bought so much space for the rest of his team. Drac's already towards point. They're going to force off this Uber. Gink trading for the life of Drac now, so this should be fairly equal players on the scale of everything. Fairly equal Ubers too. Slentes, though, a little bit too early in. These scouts, as long as they can get focused out, it should be okay, but I mean, right now it's just going to be who's hitting what, and right now it seems to be like Lucas and Scruff are just about hitting their shots just a little bit more.
Honestly, I really liked the decision there of Swift to initiate the trade by starting with the pop first. Oh, the back cap from
Adiski! That's absolutely insane.
He was in top right the whole time. I think I saw him spamming towards the end of that, but I guess they just assumed he would leave, or he didn't pay too much attention to it. But Adiski coming in clutch there, playing it fine. I mean, earlier we saw him go down to 6 HP, picking that top right and securing a pick on Pappy, overextending, trying to commit on the frag. So Adiski playing with his life a bit closer here, but we do see it paying off. Ascent getting around on the board.
It's definitely a bit more of a liberal playstyle for a demo man right now, but hey, you know, maybe this is what the team needs. So going into this mid now, we're going to be seeing Adiski, same kind of thing, some decent damage being dealt, and these soldiers going super deep, but the cleanup just isn't quite there. They can't get the rest of the Ascent team forward, and now this flank from Gink is going to be so fantastic, getting so much damage towards Adiski, and the chase is absolutely on. It's just absolutely brutal. Complete wipe for Ascent. Another crushing mid for
Gink
Swift.
Pappy show, that's what, 5 frags between the two of them. The Swift soldiers doing a great job there. Gink getting some pressure in onto the choke, getting behind Adiski, securing the frag there, and then pincering the 2 players that were left in Cafe. So really good aggression and excellent communication being demonstrated by Swift here, as they are just capping second. Pappy going to get a little bit weak. They do need to heal everyone up, but they've got plenty of time. This is perhaps the biggest advantage we've seen so far this game, pushing Alas. I think it's very important that they assess the hold quickly before they go, and if they go blind, I feel like they're introducing unnecessary risks. So let's see how they decide to go for it.
Yeah, it is scary just to go in and kind of hope for the best, but, you know, as always, the longer you wait, the bigger the risk you're taking. So, jumping in, Lucas can get some decent damage, just about not dying to that sentry. The flash comes in just in time from Seed, so they're taking this position towards the right-hand side. They're still going to pump some heals into Lucas, but Scruff's going to be pushing forward, takes a position towards the point, but the heals aren't quite there. The rest of the team in their spam, they can't really get that far forward on the point, and now they're just losing one after another, and they're just completely wiping off that. At least they did manage to pick up Condor.
The good thing is they'll at least have spawners in time from those quick tests, so that they'll have something to test on last. Good stacking on the cap actually from Ascent. Going to deny a couple of those. Gink is going to be in this forward spawn, and he's done work from this position before. Ascent are going to need to be expecting this one to not fall prey to Gink. The body shot comes in from Adiski, first shot that he took. Now they're aware of it. Good opportunity for Gink to switch off, but he might just commit to this and walk out. It looks like he is. Sniper moving forward then with the rest of Swift. This machine coming through from Flower gets the big one to Drac. Stellantis is going to be there to try and stifle this push, but they're doing a good job of pressuring this. Steed's doing a great job of rotating heals here.
Oh my lord, the combined spam, even just from soldiers and scouts on the side of Ascent, is actually ridiculous. You can see how important it is to hold a choke point, and just through sheer force, you know, they had player disadvantage and everything disadvantage, really. But if they can hold that choke point, Swift will just get absolutely crushed as they try and walk through. So now, not only do they not get this push on the second, they're being forced back all the way to their own second.
Yeah, and luckily for Seeds, he manages to make it out there just before he gets Uber, so he will have it for this second hold. Gink's the only one there, I believe, that did not catch that forward spawn. He is going to switch back to Soldier, and it looks like we're back to where we were about 15 minutes ago. Ascent on mid, Swift looking a bit passive. I wonder if they're going to have Lucas playing above that choke again. But with 4 minutes left and a round up for Ascent, they're in the driver's seat right now, and they can dictate the pace of this game.
100%, but it doesn't look like they want to slow down too much. Every opportunity they get, they want to make something happen. Pipes being hit, combined with, oh my, they take down Pappy, and somehow Lucas dies as well. Gink overextending towards his choke point. This is absolutely disastrous. There's no explosive classes at all on the side of Swift. No one can really do anything, so this is just going to be a 3-second push. And I mean, there's even an opportunity with these spawners not quite up yet. Looks like Silentis wants to jump from the right-hand side. Medic towards spawn, getting some nice damage into there, but ultimately not going to be forcing Seeds. The rest of his team's going to be walking in, but they're starting to lose these players. Surely they've got to get out and just try not to use here.
You have to think, Silk kind of jumped the gun a little bit there. There was a chance for a sack, but the spawners were just about to come alive. He was just diving into players without his team there, and it means that they lost a player coming into the second fight. They ended up getting a second one. Swift did a good job of the cleanup, so now they're in a position to push them back and get some cap time on the second. It looks like Ascent are having none of it, though. They kill Lucas. They haven't been able to get onto Seeds, but Ubers are still in play for both teams.
Yeah, every second right now matters as these Ubers get traded towards second. Like you said, it is a round advantage for Ascent, so the longer they can keep Swift towards this last, the better from their point of view. They take down Classy towards lower, but Pappy getting so much damage, taking down both of the Ascent scouts. So the cap time, even if they do try and push last, is going to be so difficult, and it does look like they're just going to, you know, still try and commit to things. Definitely a little bit questionable. It's only Silentis in Adiski. You have Adiski actually still trying to contest this, but surely with the heal of Seeds, they've got to be looking pretty good. Adiski just absolutely doesn't care. He's just walking in.
Oh, and Adiski trying to make something happen, but man, I need to give credit to Pappy there. He got 4 kills almost single-handedly. He was just in the right place at the right time. Excellent read of the game from Pappy. Gets the first frag with the splash and then secures more than enough to put his team on his back and secure the defense. They're trying to push out now on the back of it, but with the 40% advantage, it's not going to be quite enough to contest the position that Ascent had on second. So they're going to have to come back a little bit and rethink things. Credu is in behind. If there's anyone you don't want behind on scout, it is Credu. The man can hit 2 shots anywhere he wants. So Amps actually finds Lucas, gets in position to kill anyone else, gets the frag there. Seeds is going to be milking this one. He's not really under too much pressure right now. He is going to pop, but ooh, I don't know about that decision.
No, that's not looking good at all. They will manage to take down AMS, but I mean, there's no Uber even to force, and now losing Scruff as well. They're 3 players alive. It's 80% Uber advantage for Ascent. I mean, surely at this point the safe play is to just start moving slowly, trust in this Uber advantage, but they're just gonna walk right on point. You see, all the Swift players, they got to walk into it, but it's just not gonna matter. Ascent taking a 3rd round, and with 1 minute 20 to go. I mean, even TCMing this is going to be damn near impossible.
The push out there really just wasn't quite up to par for what they needed to break that hold. Ascent weren't going to make it easy for them. They had, they knew what they were doing. They were playing high ground positions, playing it well just to shut them down, deal damage without really taking any on that second, and Swift didn't have an answer for it. So it looks like that's going to be pretty much curtains for this map 1-3-1. Perhaps Swift can get something going on their previously successful mids. Adiski's going to start off with some damage on the right-hand side. We do see a bit of a soldier fight going on in Cafe. Gink with a nice air shot through choke.
That's super nice, and I think, you know, even if this doesn't matter so much for this map, they've got a second map to do. They've got to keep themselves in good space. They've got to make sure they're hitting their shots. And right now, Scruff's getting, oh my lord, walking towards his choke point, at least asserting some dominance, which, you know, the mental game's important.
Yeah, and it looks like with 30 seconds left now, Seed's going to get a nice arrow one, get a nice other one too. Soldier's going to go for the flank, but they're just going to be moving out here. Corner dead. It's, yeah, not too much to read into this at the end of this. Mid was interesting there, but the real story so far of this map 1 has got to be that defense, or the defenses on last for Swift, and just kind of not being able to push out on second against that Ascent defense.
Yeah, it really did seem that, you know, that both teams were making mistakes, but ultimately Ascent's game plan was just a little bit more solid. Even if they did play liberal with this demo, I mean, it was working, it seemed, more often than not. Definitely a little bit peculiar, but I mean, hell of a game to start this off with.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it was neck and neck for the most part. Ascent managing to secure that with that 3rd round towards the end of it, but Swift were definitely in it, and it was only a few mistakes that stopped them from being able to win that map there. At the end, it was a bit tragic to see that Uber from Seeds on the scout. They managed to get 1 frag for it, but they didn't really pop any Uber. They didn't really get for it. That wasn't the critical mistake, though. Like, it was while they were pushing out that led to that situation. So I feel like they need to be a bit more creative if they want to try and move off of some of these advantages going out, pushing out of last. It's going to be hard, though. Well,
obviously, we've got a second map to go, but before then, I want to start hearing from our desk, you know, see what our boys over there got to say. Obviously, we've got Turbo, we've got Dumpton, we've got Grumpyco. I think these guys are going to take over. Tell us what you see, guys.
I see, Eeply, a very grim start for Swift. Boys, actually, I say it's very grim. It was actually, no, it was not so bad.
Yeah, I don't think it was that bad.
Yeah.
It could have been a 5-0. That's like
that would be
grim,
grim,
yeah, that would be very grim.
Yeah, but it's that first match. It's the first confidence. It's the first time you're kind of really playing in these sessions. I know people say all the group stages don't matter and all this stuff, but would you say they matter at all, guys? Do you think the group stages?
It's always valuable warm-up. It's also Lucas's first LAN, as far as I know, so I heard people talk to him, mention that he's a bit nervous
I heard it's
about everything.
his first big boy LAN. I think he's been to like a
maybe.
Czech LAN before.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah,
was the
okay.
Czech one beforehand.
All right.
But yeah, no, one of the reasons that I think it's really important with the group stages is obviously there's seeding implications that can actually come out of this, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, especially with some heavy hitters in the open groups. That that it could easily cause an upset into the
yeah,
top four.
100%. We've got a great open bracket as well. But the main thing I've kind of coming away from that is you can see that Ascent are kind of coming in with a big game plan. They're playing very aggressive at certain points. Their holds have been very good, and they're actually just trying to choke out SVIFT, and that's kind of been their game plan the entire game. We did see the round actually go to SVIFT at one point, and SVIFT played a really, really good game playing off Papi's damage and positioning. And it's very interesting to see with going into the second map how they're going to change it. Sunshine's a very aggro map. You've got a lot of options to go forward. Maybe a little bit of a casual pace might actually help SVIFT in this game.
Yeah, maybe they always strike me as fairly solid in the defense. So that's I think that's something they need to capitalize off against Ascent, especially with how aggressive they've been playing so far. I think we talked about it before as well, that every once in a while Ascent just had a sudden burst of aggression, and this really seems like the moment AMS steps up as the caller, makes a decision for the team to just go in, exchange no advantage whatsoever, but they know what they want to do with the Uber, and those moments help them a lot against SWIFT, I think.
Yeah, well, I feel like the AMS main call is a very interesting main call, because we've seen throughout the seasons that AMS really will just suddenly make a decision and the whole team will just commit to it. But sometimes it won't necessarily be something with any build-up. AMS likes doing the surprise plays. We've seen them face against Seven on Sunshine, and there was one play where all of a sudden they burst out a cafe out of nowhere. And I really like that play style because it can catch some of the more organized teams off guard, because they kind of expect they know what they're doing. So, well, I expect to know what their opponent's doing because they feel so in control, and taking that control away is so important.
That's it, boys. I'm reeling you back in because you're talking too much about Ascent. I want to hear about SVIFT. What is like the balance here between Ascent's victory, SVIFT dropping the ball here? Would you say there was a bit of SVIFT failing here, or is it just Ascent putting on display how good they are?
I mean, obviously Ascent played a really strong game. SWIFT still had fairly good showing. They obviously won a round. They won mids as well. On top of that, they shown that they can take the fight to Ascent, but they need to work better off the disadvantaged positions they find themselves in. I think News mentioned in the game as well that once they won last, they just struggled to get out of it. And once you're already around down, that's such a long time you have to waste there just finding a good advantage. And even with how aggressive Ascent was, they knew exactly that eventually it's going to come down to time, and you don't want to be stuck in that position for too long.
Now, we talk a lot about the teams as a overhaul, but let's talk about some of these players in particular. Is there anyone that you're expecting, not even just this match, maybe even the whole LAN in general? Are you expecting someone to have a good LAN? I know you mentioned Lucas earlier, first LAN. Usually it's quite good for demos. Demos pop off at LAN. They kind of get to show off.
Yeah,
Would this be the case?
I think in this matchup specifically, both demos need to show up. Diski is a bit of the question mark, as well as Lucas with lack of LAN attendance. So whoever of those two can just step up to the level of the team necessary, that it's going to make a huge difference.
Any favorite players here?
I actually really, really like Classy.
Classy
Tell
me about Classy, because I'm a bit unfamiliar with Classy. I'm sure there's going to be some viewers out there that are a bit unfamiliar with Classy.
Well, I think Classy had his first real Prem season, the season just gone.
Yes.
And I feel like he's kind of exploded onto the scene. There's not a lot of people that really expected too much from him. But he's done some matchups. Even in this match, he was playing against Credu and AMS, which is considered there's two scout combos that are considered the scary ones to deal with, and that is Thalash and Tiger, and then it's AMS and Credu as well. And the fact that he can play against those players, as well as actually trying to deal with Drac and Salentes, who are such a strong soldier combo, the fact that him and Scruff work so well together, even with Classy being a newish player to the scene, I feel like he's done incredibly well. And I feel like him and Papi, because Papi's just a stalemate LAN player and I love watching him play, but I feel like Classy has a lot to prove, but I think he can do it.
All right, guys. Well, it's not just a game of best of ones here. It's a best of two. There's the best kind. Not too much best of three, not too little best of one, just right with the best of two. So we will be going into our second map very soon. I could probably squeeze out a quick prediction out of both of you. And keep in mind, I will be keeping track. So, boys, Who do you think is going to take the second map after that start?
I'm going to make a bold call and say it's going to be the exact same scoreline.
Shocking.
1%.
Shocking here on the desk.
I forgot what the second map is. Could you remind me?
You asked me like I know.
Depending on the map, I feel like if it's something where SVIFT can get an advantage and then kind of dig their heels a bit. Okay, so it's Badlands. So I feel like if Pappy takes a good control of his team, works alongside Seeds, who's got a good amount of experience as well, I feel like SVIFT could bring it to like a 2-1 victory to SVIFT and equal things out. But then again, you've got the team of Ascent. They are smart, intelligent players. They're very consistent. It's going to be interesting. Okay. It's going to be interesting.
Well, there you go, guys. It's Ascent across the board. They are smart, interested, and don't need no stinking like.
No, I think SVIFT are going to win.
Oh, well, I'll be damned. It's going. It made it sound so convincing for the Ascent side, but okay.
No.
Right. Okay, all right. To the casters, we'll go. We'll see if their opinion differs just as much as ours.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's going to be pretty even on the scale of things. I mean, I think it really comes down a lot to that. You know, they say it is going to be on Badlands. They've talked so much about Adiski and about SVIFT and Adiski and Lucas. I mean, Badlands is such a demo map. These kind of, you know, just literally when it comes to your rollout, getting to mid, being that first guy to mid, being able to take that initial position is so crucial. And I mean, you're the big brain demo main yourself. What does Badlands mean for you as a demo man?
Oh, you flatter me equally well. Badlands, it's always been the map. When you think about rollouts and you think about what you can do when you're faster than the other demo man, there's a lot of maps where you've got plenty of time, plenty of spaces to move, and you've got options, even if you're the slower demo man. But Badlands has always been the map where if you're there that second faster, that second and a half faster, if you can do that consistently against the enemy demo, you can completely shut down so many of their options, because you just have so much control of the first place that they can want to walk onto, which is that place just in front of the point, just below the train. And if you can start to control some of that space, you can take over the midpoint and you can just rain damage on slope or wherever else the enemy team may be coming from. So I feel like eyes are going to be on Adiski and Lucas even more so than on map 1, especially on these mid fights. And it seemed like map 1, SVIFT got the better end of the mid fights for the most part, but it didn't really play into their favor. They did good on the defense, but they couldn't keep the momentum going on the offense. So this time round with the mids, it'd be interesting to see who gets the better of things. And the other thing is, it really comes down to how well coordinated soldier bombs are, I think.
Yes,
and I feel like Drac and Silentes, they know what they're doing on Badlands. Like, it's the staple map. Not that Pappy and Gink don't, but these guys have played at this level, and they've played on big stages, big playoff games, time and time again, and Badlands has always been a part of that. So when you've got players like, if Adiski can step up, you've got Drac and Silentes, I think it should make it more than easy enough for Amps and Credu. I feel like mid-fights are going to be going the way of Ascent. Well, I don't know how things are going to play out from the SVIFT side of things, but I guess we're going to go straight into this.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. So here we are. This is map 2 of our first match, Ascent versus SVIFT. First game here at Copenhagen 2019. Adiski getting to mid, taking that early tag. Super important, but the positioning just a little bit earlier as he moves towards point. We see Gink going for a bit of a later bomb, but Drax wasting no time at all, jumping straight in. But the coordinated soldier bomb from Ascent, Silentes and Drac going to be getting absolutely nothing at all, coordinating their own deaths there. And the positioning can't really get taken by Ascent at all. They've just got to back out.
And it looks like SVIFT doing a good job there. Only losing Classy on that mid really did shut down the early bombs from Drac and Silentes. Not too sure how much Adiski got up to on that mid. It didn't seem like he was a very significant part of it. Looks like there's some traps there from him now, getting some good damage onto this launch pad to just slow SVIFT down a little bit. Drac and Silentes will be rejoining the fight soon enough, so it's not going to be catastrophic. But actually, Adiski is about to die, doesn't get an arrow or the beam in time. That's not going to be good. He was quite overextended there as the trade is coming out.
Oh my lord, this is a classic Ascent trade here. Almost entirely mono-healing this scout as they try and just keep some control towards a second point. But everything's looking good for SVIFT in terms of positioning, but they're losing these 2 all-important frags. Credu and Ams getting 1 apiece. So, I mean, they can't really contest second, but at least they can stop the team of SVIFT from just, you know, pushing straight through main and going all the way to last. And honestly, with Gink and Pappy dead for another 10 seconds, there was even a bit of an opportunity for Ascent to push out. But I feel like maybe they had the read. They did use earlier. They have got a bit of a disadvantage. So maybe their logic is, okay, we'll chill for just a moment. We'll build up an Uber and at least make sure this is an equal Uber situation.
Yeah, Connor was alive for a little while there without building, so I think he just wasn't really in a position to heal his teammates and let fragging players commit to the fight. So I think they thought better of it. If they were building, if they had some buffs in play, then I think they might have gone for a different approach. They are kind of quite an aggressive team when it comes to defending territory, but this time around it's just going to end up with even Ubers on this last. We've seen Badlands last stalemates before. We know that it really comes down to how the strategy matches up. We're going to see Amps on the engineer top right. Credu opening things up. I didn't see him on the sniper, but Scruff going to go down, peeking that top lobby door. So Pappy and Lucas just backing up a little bit. Looks like Credu's going to charge up on main and see if he can get a pick there on one of the drop down players.
Yeah, I mean, we do see AMS overextending just a little bit, so Credu's going to have to back up. I mean, call me crazy, but I believe I may have just seen a second ago Lucas running quickie bombs, which is absolutely terrifying on this last.
He
is. I love to see it.
Charge these sticks towards the point. He needs to get the air to angle just right to clear those sticks. I think Adiski is wise to the fact that he could be using the quickie bombs. The sticky placement he's opted for on last is particularly difficult for dealing with that, so Lucas needs to be aware of that. As actually, Amps and Silente is going to take some aggression into this top lobby. Amps is going to try and go straight in here onto Seeds, and they do get the pop. Good job from Silentes, but they've lost 3 players in the process, as have Swift, but I don't know if they're going to have the damage output without those 8 stickies. Lucas is going to have to do some big work here, and he's connecting. He's hit some damage onto this scout. Scruff is going to go down for it, and Lucas is just going to have to back up, but Adiski's actually behind them.
Oh my god, that's absolutely stone cold from the combo of Ascent there. They were just absolutely dead set. They were not going to use it, even playing from that massive height differential after you didn't care, and now they've been rewarded. Fantastic play from Connor as they start moving up now with this full Uber advantage, and even still, okay, they will now use this Uber towards choke, but that's a guaranteed really at least one frag, the scout towards the choke point, but they get Seeds. That's so important, and everything's going their way now. Lucas, Classy, both going down. These flanking players, they're just going to get cleaned up one by one by one. This is mid taken. This should be a second taken. This honestly could be an entire round.
Yeah, it was really good. The damage that they put out during that Uber forced both Swift soldiers to go back towards the resupply, so they didn't have much spam or any area denial to slow Ascent in coming into that mid, so they were able to just run through with it, not taking any casualties in the process, and now they are gearing up to go towards last. They do have, I think, the Soldier of Drak peeking main, just assessing things from the last hold, so they do have a bit of information going into this one. 40% advantage for them, so they just need to wait for that Uber in play. Perhaps if they can avoid any kind of pick classes. Adiski actually getting quite aggressive here, peeking this top right with some sticky spam. Soldier on the right shot are going to try and shut him down, but we do see the loose cannon, so more unlocks being used from Lucas. It's not often that we see this at this level, but the loose cannon can be used very effectively with in the right hands.
Yeah, definitely as they try and get through this doorway. Oh my lord, it's such a good deny, but it doesn't completely deny them through this choke point. So, as the players start moving towards point, we do see a soldier actually go above. This heavy gets taken out, still stickies towards point. It's so important for Lucas. He needs to keep these stickies towards point to deny them any ability to start taking control. And this is so crucial. Soldier still on the rim, will now get taken down. The scout behind point as well is only really going to be a Diski and Connor backing up towards main. And I think that is absolute perfect patience from Lucas, playing towards, you know, kind of far back, right by that spawn. But Diski's going for the back cap. He's jumped all the way in through far right. He'll get taken out, and that is liberal demo play if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, that was a rather careless decision. He knew his medic was able to get out there. He could have jumped out and helped him build. They sacrificed some percentage, and it wasn't really a valiant effort at the last back cap. Even then, there were going to be spawners, so I think Adiski just having little lapse in judgment as Swift are trying to move forward here on that 45% advantage. Aggression coming out from some of the Ascent players. Actually, Drak is on the backlines. He is going to get cleaned up. Silentes going around that resupply. There is a scout in his face. Doesn't quite connect any of the Miracle Directs. And it looks like Swift are just going to secure this one after that Uber. But there's still about a 60-70% advantage for Ascent now. No soldiers in play. If they can do enough to shut down the Swift offense here, they might be able to use that advantage.
Yeah, absolutely no reason why they wouldn't be able to. You've got to be pretty scared about these stickies. They're all just towing the line, but I think they're aware of it now. So Swift still moving forward. The spawners on the side of Ascent, they will be getting up now. Pappy losing his life as he jumps in, tries to make just something happen towards the medic now. So the rest of Swift, they know they have to back up. They know they're still about 20% off on this Uber. Ascent does have an opportunity, but, I mean, it's difficult at this point. Do you go for this kind of, you know, full commit push? And actually, they did lose in all that situation. I didn't even catch how that happened. Now it's Swift's opportunity to Uber in, walking through this choke point. I mean, these Ascent players are scattering so well. They're going to have really exceptional focus fire right now.
They did try and go for the... It was quite aggressive, committing quite a lot of players to that force, but they took so much damage that when it came to letting Swift walk in through that choke, they didn't really have much health to commit to that fight. Ended up losing both soldiers there for it. Good enough for them. They managed to get a Disky and Connor alive, and their scouts able to off-class on that last, just in case Swift were looking to keep that momentum moving forward. But yeah, a bit of an odd thing. You don't often see teams commit a lot of their players there in for a force like that, especially from second into mid, but they managed to make it out live for most of them. Solantis now going to take up some of the heals on top right. I don't know if we're going to see any kind of sacks from the defense. It seems like Swift had a really good job of keeping themselves hard defensive when they were on last. I want to see if Ascent go for the same approach, or if they try and be a bit more proactive, a bit more offensive with it.
Definitely interesting. We see these 4 traps for a Disky, so you have to make sure Swift is checking every single angle as they move through spawn. But you do actually have a spy and a sniper on the side of Ascent. I believe Drax is kind of wandering around towards main, at least putting the fear of that spy. The second Swift see any kind of spy, they're thinking, right, is he going to stay there? Is he going to change? What's going to happen here? It's making them kind of second guess themselves.
And Drac has had big moments on Spy in the past. Usually you see scouts off-classing to it, but Drac's more than capable of doing it, and he is disguised as an enemy scout. They would have seen him on the last, and they would have perhaps assumed that he would have switched off of Spy. But by this point, I think Swift would have realized they haven't seen a second soldier, so they are going to be aware that the Spy is a threat. And Ascent are doing a good job here of trying to push up the rest of their team and kind of mask that Spy threat to make Swift like they're committing to more than just a pick.
Exactly, it's you can't kind of telegraph these things, otherwise it'll be kind of near impossible for Drac to do anything much. And honestly, there might even be some opportunities for him to just kind of go behind and go for a bit of a kind of double stack kind of situation. But once again, we're seeing Lucas on these quickie bombs, so it looks like a point play might be what they're looking to do, and that actually might be perfect for Drac, as there's going to be so much focus towards main, and he's actually opened the shutter. Somehow Seeds not quite realizing what's happening there, maybe just kind of misreading what's happening. He's decloaking now, going to walk behind them, but the timing just about not right, so still hasn't been caught, still has his opportunity here, but it's not going to be easy.
Definitely got an opportunity to get Lucas here. He is going to go for it, and he does get the stab. Looks like Drac will make it out alive as well. That's going to slow down things for Swift. Gink is going to be very paranoid here around the corner, looking for every little chance to get Splash on this Spy. He is going to be backing out, though. Drac is carefully under that launch pad. Perhaps going to have another opportunity to strike here. Drac doing very good on the Spy so far. Ascent not looking to commit anything more to push out here. They're perhaps going to try and get some offensive spam, a Disky spamming from that drop-down area. Again, to distract a little bit from the Spy. Lucas coming in now with the quickie bombs. All of them are so paranoid about this Spy. They don't trust Drac to do nothing. And why would you?
Exactly. I mean, it's such a kind of focus, and it's something which Ascent can play off just a little bit more. We are seeing, some fairly slow play from them. Obviously, they know that they can just kind of keep this going. Eventually, Drac will do something more, but Gink's going to be jumping towards point. Get taken down by the combined power of a Disky and the gun, but classy as well. So much aggression from Swift. It seems like they just want to try and walk in. The revolver comes out from Drac, but it's kind of too little too late. And I mean, it's only really 3 players up on the side of Ascent. If they can manage to just pick up one more, go for some kind of sack, they take down Credu, who gets used, and Connor's dropped absolutely everyone. He's getting sent into the ceiling, and that's a round.
Swift coming in strong off the back of that. It was kind of a car crash of a defense. They were trying to aggress a bit too much. The rest of the side were playing it passively. They just got picked apart by the Swift players in lobby, and really good job there, forcing that Uberg, making Connor make the mistake of dropping his players, and then at the end juggling just off the point to get that round secured. First on the board now, Swift coming into this second mid with the controlling hand in the game. Lucas going to do some good damage to the scouts from distance. Solantis opening up with the pump, but again, Drac and Solantis going down as the first tracks in the mid very quickly. Credu's going to get caught as well, trading his life force gruff. It's not looking good for Ascent. Disky and Connor just going to have to back out here. Disky getting caught. Can Connor make it out alive? That is the question.
Oh my god, Swift absolutely have Ascent's number on these mids right now, and as a result, taking down a Disky super late. Condog managed to get out, but I mean, it's about a 20-25% disadvantage. We're seeing some decent building. We're seeing how quickly they're moving up towards kind of upper lobby, and it seems to be like they want to go for an absolute perfect dot push, and it would have to be exactly that, but I think they're just about now realizing they were just fractionally too slow. They have got this round advantage. You don't have to worry too much. I feel maybe they had, a bit more of a shot than they saw, but honestly, I can respect the safer play right now.
Yeah, and absolutely, they're in one round up. The mids have been going their favor. It favors them to take things slow. Like it's all good and well when you get momentum behind you, you get around, you start to feel good. But when you jump the gun and you start letting that affect your decision-making process as a team, that's when the boys are separated from the men. And I think Swift doing a good job here of just taking a bit of patient approach to this, realizing that they are on last, they're in the control, they don't need to do anything too aggressive when it's an even Uber situation. Interestingly, we do see Gink on the pain train, so more diverse weapon use, as we saw Lucas with the loose cannon and the quickie bomb. So they've got some clear different strategies to approach pushing this last. I feel like we might see Gink sack for the point after Sticky's trying to get cleared or something like that, but we'll see how it plays out. Perhaps he'll be going for a back gap approach usually.
Possibly. I mean, you know, if you can get like a soldier through main or a scout through lower right or something like that, that times 4 on the point. Like, the point is just like, I don't know, it's just instant. You know, you blink and you miss it. It just gets capped so quickly. And it's something which you can actually quite consistently rely upon. It's not one of these kind of gimmick pushes where it doesn't really work a lot of the time. It's something which you can actually kind of, you know, almost build your pushes around. So, you know, we are seeing a little bit of spam towards the right-hand side. I think, you know, classic soldier strat from, I think, 2010. And, you know, if it worked then, it can work now. Jumping towards point, going to get taken down, not even really scattering the stickies at this point. But ultimately, you know, he loses his life. Maybe they're thinking, come up on Sniper again. We've already seen Gink doing well so far.
Ooh, Lucas getting a pick onto a Disky. That's a big one. The Disky should be aware of some of the sticky trap locations. Usually in a demo v demo matchup, it's not often that they get sticky trap kills on each other, because experienced demos of this caliber know where they are. But Swift looking to mount an offense here. So much damage being put out by Drak on the top left. The point is getting played. Classy gets a lot of time for it. Lucas puts so much damage out onto the soldiers on main. He's continuing to hit pipes. It's good opening for Swift. So much damage here. They do get a Disky again.
That's such an incredible two-shot from Scruff, taking out a Disky once again. So, no stickies towards point. They can go for some kind of Uber trade. They can go for some kind of point play. They know that this point is open, especially with this gun on this top left-hand side. It doesn't really cover things once they fully get in there, but once again, Gink's going to jump in. He just about doesn't manage to get the right angle, and he will get taken down. So, doesn't look like they really get anything off this pick of a Disky, but I mean, every single part of this hold is so scary. We see just Ams just running forward, taking down Pappy, gets a lot of damage towards the scout as well. And in all of this, Classy's actually on Spy, getting all this info for his team, making it so easy for them to just, you know, peek and prod. And, I mean, surely they're going to have to go for some kind of, you know, like aggressive kind of spam play for, you know, kind of buy some space for Classy.
It looks like they're just going to slow things down a little bit before they get that distraction in play. And you know what? Here's a crucial part of this defense. Classy's got his time to strike now. Excellent position from Connor. He's not going to get damaged too much. Oh my god, he drops to the stickies. Lucas coming in to follow up on that spy damage. It's going to be catastrophic for Ascent. They need to do something to mount a good defense here. Credu Sentry Gun has been doing a great job thus far on these defenses, but without an Uber against the full Uber charge and 5 men Swift, it's going to be hard for them. Let's see how Swift go for the approach here.
Yeah, it's almost the entire round is on the shoulders of Ams right now. On the Pyro, he's going to have to deny things absolutely perfectly, and it's just not going to happen at all. Stickies now get detonated towards point, so Scruff, you know, sacrificing his life for that. This heavy towards the right-hand side is going to be so crucial. They need to maintain this position. And it's, I mean, it's scrappy. We see Gink playing from the low ground. He's getting the frags, he's getting the damage. And I think ultimately, there's just going to be 2 little players on the side of Ascent. And it does look like the rest of Swift just going to be able to walk towards point and cap this out. So that is 2-0. And Ascent just aren't really getting a look in on this map.
Really good play from Lucas and Classy to combine there. Classy going for the decloak, recognizes straight away that he doesn't have a chance for the stab because Connor is facing him. Pulls out the revolver, quickest revolver in the West, and just peppers him for about 95. Lucas is there to follow up after Connor hit a nice surf, so really good job from Swift to secure that advantage going into last year, and they've got to be feeling confident 2-0 going into this third mid.
Yeah, it's so comfortable getting that 2-round advantage. And once again, we're going to be seeing some big bombs towards the side of mid from the Ascent soldiers. This time, though, they're not going for that full commit, though. They're going more for this positioning. And now they've taken down Pappy quite early on. The flank from Abs is going to be pretty good, getting some damage towards Lucas. But then he just gets piped out of the server, so ignore that completely. I mean, it does look like they will manage to take some of this position. They will manage to take control of the midpoint. So, I mean, you know, they are winning this mid, but it doesn't look like they can go much further because it is still just a 3v3.
Yeah, both teams managing to keep Pocket Scout and Medic alive at the end of that. Positioning just kind of favored Ascent after they controlled that high ground and played the slower fight. Lucas with a nice pipe at the end there, but they are all just going to be healing up here. And now, with 13.5 minutes left on the clock, 2 rounds up for Swift, with the defenses they've had on last and the advantages they've secured pushing last, Ascent need to do something to step up here and get themselves back in the game, because if it's up to Swift, they're just going to not let them do anything. They don't need to commit too hard to any pushes, so Ascent need to make the plays happen.
Yep, and that's going to be what's happening. We actually go for an Uber trade. Celentis jumps nice and deep, trying to get some damage towards this demo, so let's force off the Uber, but there's just a little bit of advantage for the side of Swift. Them overstaying their welcome could be potentially disastrous. It's only Pappy that loses his life, but it's not the easiest hold in the world now. I mean, surely if you're on the side of Ascent, you've got to start peeking and prodding, seeing how far Lucas is playing.
Moves.
And yeah, they're just trying to walk through the stroke point.
Ascent being good to aggress off that one-player pick. Well, even Uber's hero, both medics on 30%, but Disky goes down again to a sticky trap from Lucas. They're going to need to back out from that. You can't commit to a non-Uber fight without a demo against someone like Lucas and the team of Swift that are so good in those team fights. Drac now on the backup with the pain train. It's going to be a big threat for Swift. They are going to need to contest this. Drac, can he hit the direct that he needs? The Soldier's going to come to contest him as well. If he can stay alive, he actually gets the cap. Classy's going to clean him up now, but with that cap, Swift need to stay on it to get that Spire secured so that they can keep moving forward. There are 2 players dead for Ascent, but they've got massive damage coming in at this choke to shut down Lucas.
Yeah, they are just about getting this Uber up now, so the aggressive scout on the form of AMS is going to get taken down. They do still have an Uber on the side of Ascent. I'm getting forced, actually, such a nice bomb. I believe that was by Gink. Really, really good. His timing's being fantastic so far in this series. So that's going to be an Uber force, so Ascent can't even really keep control of this. Even Celentis going down. So just that, I mean, they managed to get through the choke point. They don't use, they force the Uber and they get a frag for it.
Yeah, Swift just giving us a masterful performance on Badlands thus far. Seeds now looking to move in here with Scruff and it looks like Pappy as well. They're getting so much damage into Crash. Adiski's going to go down. The Scout is weak. If Scruff can secure that frag, it will be great for them. Not much good health for Ascent. They're all passively positioned on second. Pappy now in lobby. He's got a chance. position of seeds, and he's just going to back out through the resupply. 1 minute 24 left. There's still a chance for Ascent to tie up with a round here. I feel like they're looking a bit defeated, though. It doesn't look like they're going for too many aggressive plays. Swift look like they've had a chance to take a breather, leaving Drakon last now as they're trying to play that high run, get some cap time. Solentes going to go for the bump towards Choke. He's got potential for a lot of damage here, but Swift are going to avoid it quite nicely. Gink on the last trying to contest Drak, but he's going to get cleaned up. So now they're in a position to move forward. They've got the pick onto the soldier. It's even Ubers, but there's only a minute left in play. They need to be fast moving through mid and moving through second.
They really, really do, and dropping AMS is not the best way to start that. Credu trying to get aggressive as well, but no, Ubers have been... Sorry, I take that back. They said Uber got used much earlier. Seed's just only using his, and we see Connor getting piped into the dirt by Lucas here, and there's just barely anyone alive on the side of Ascent. I mean, Adiski hits a nice pipe, but it's not really going to confirm that frag. It's only really Drak, and then he's getting cleaned up as well, and with 30 seconds left to go, looks like they're going to be splitting maps, and Swift looking absolutely fantastic on Badlands.
Yeah, incredibly so. I mean, it was credit to Ascent for the one round that they won, but Swift might be looking to make a third here. Gink playing the point, bringing the players onto the low ground. If someone from Swift can come in on that top left, they've got a definite chance to get some frags here. They do fall off. Credu with the pyro is just going to be burning everyone from Swift alive. It looks like the last one alive is going to be Pappy. He is going to go down to this shotgun, and that's going to be the end of that map too. 2-1 to Swift. Looks like Grumpy was on the money with his prediction, and that was a great contest from Swift. Ascent did a good job as well, but Swift coming out so strong on those mids, and some of the team fights that they had were insane.
Yeah, it was absolutely nuts. I mean, we talked a little bit in the pregame about, you know, the combined power of Drak and Solentes, but those first two mids, they just did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, instantly the two of them died at the same time. Both those first two mids. Yeah. And even when they changed their approach, it didn't really do much for Ascent.
Yeah. It was absolutely crazy, and it's exceptional stuff. I mean, already this first map, you know, trading maps from teams like Ascent and Swift, it means good things for the rest of the tournament. It means good things for both these teams. But, I mean, that's going to have to be enough for us for now. We're going to have to throw it back to our host and see what's happening on the desk, guys. What a game.
What a game indeed. And it's a shame we couldn't catch all of it, guys. A part of it was missed. But don't worry, Twitch chat. I've got you covered. Because let me introduce you to Connor. Say hi, Connor. Hello. And we're going to represent the parts that you've missed in the during the stream. So can you enter Swift, please?
Swift, hello.
All right, so kind of give me a simulation of what happened that last game there, Grumpy.
Pretty much.
There you
the
go.
entirety of the game.
The end. That was pretty much all you've missed.
I was roped into this, by the way. Cohesion.
I took to have so long to set up too.
Hey, we did a justice for Twitch chat here. We caught them up. We told them exactly what they missed, and
I mean, it's definitely true though. Connor was given a really tough time. I don't remember if it was still on stream or not, but the one spy play with Classy behind coming in, Connor had perfectly fine spy position. He couldn't get back up at all, but he eventually had to move back from the fence on the back wall on Badlands last, because otherwise he would just be pissed down. So he moved forward, and at the same time, Lucas comes forward, stickies up everything on top left, and there's just nowhere to go for Connor, and he just drops immediately.
Is it all about Connor here, Grumpy, or is there anybody else kind of dropping the ball, or someone just picking up the pace here?
I don't necessarily feel like... I feel like Ascent didn't have as much of a game plan as they did on Sunshine. And I feel like Swift kind of did exactly what I expected them to do, which was come into that map with a huge amount of control and understanding of how they were going to play the game. They won some very consistent mids at the start, and they kind of just rolled off that. It was really good play. They baited point when they needed to, and they just was constantly non-stop pressure on Connor. And I don't feel like Connor necessarily dropped the ball all the time. I just feel like Swift did a good job of forcing mistakes out of Ascent, and that's kind of what I expected to come out of them, because that's kind of what happened to them in the previous map. So it's good that they kind of got that riposte, got that back in, and I just want to say I predicted it perfectly. 2-1 scoreline.
I know, don't worry, I've taken note. It's on the scoreboard. We'll take a look at that scoreboard soon. But so you're these two teams. You've just like won a game, you've lost a game. What does this mean to you? Let's have a representation. Like Grumpy was playing Swift earlier as the little sock puppets, I guess. What do you think Swift are feeling right now after you've just came out after a win but just lost the first map?
I feel like they're going to be very confident. Ascent aren't an easy team to beat. They've had really good matches against them online. Very, very close. I think it was their lower bracket final. To go against 7 in the grand final was very, very close between Ascent and Swift. So bringing that forward, I feel like they've still got the players like Classy who's making good decisions, working, got a lot to prove. I feel like they're going to be very confident, but I feel like Seeds will try and rein them in a bit, and so will Pappy, and just make sure that they're excited, but they can't lose sight of their goal. They want to try and win LAN. That's kind of everyone's goal, and I feel like SVIFT have the opportunity, if they can just rein in a couple of bits and bobs, they can have the opportunity to cause quite an upset in the invite bracket.
What about the Ascent side of things, Dum? Are they going to be upset? They're predicted like, what, second seed in this
Yeah, I would
tournament?
imagine so too. And they're going to probably be a little bit upset. They know they can beat Ascent. SVIFT even, they know they have what it takes. They've done it multiple times. It was close every time, but ultimately it might just come down maybe to some map practice. Badlands is the odd one out, weirdly enough, this LAN event, being maybe a staple map in the past, but not played recently in ETF12. So it's a bit out of practice for teams maybe, and for Ascent it's a wake-up call that they need to like step up their game on Badlands here specifically, where their Sunshine looked, like Grumpy said, a lot more structured, a lot more planned out, where it already fell apart right from the beginning. The mid-fights weren't good enough, the last holds weren't strong enough, they were constantly overwhelmed by just permanent aggression by SVIFT coming into them, and they need to be ready for that sort of play against the other teams as well.
I feel like Ascent are a little bit strange compared to other teams, just for the fact that even though Credo and AMS are phenomenal players, a lot of teams that play against the higher teams kind of want to deal with the scouts first. And I've spoken to some players who played against them, and their opinion is actually if you get rid of Drac and Solentes, the rest of the team actually starts to crumble because they have a real pillar and like strong basis from those two players. They create a lot of opportunities, and I feel like the scouts, even though they're amazing, they kind of just fall in line once those two players are out of the picture.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting because out of all the little tiny TF2 content I've taken, it's all done in the meme format where Eames is just writing little pictures and doing little things like, oh, this hippo represents Credo. Is Credo not quite the powerhouse that people pack him up to be?
I wouldn't throw shade against Credo. Credo's a fantastic player. I just feel like the dynamic of Ascent is a little different to other teams. I do feel like Solentes and Drac is the kind of the cornerstone, the foundation of that team. And I feel like everyone else kind of works off how they want to play things forward. And that's not a bad thing because it's a nice little change up and it does offer this aggression. AMS being a main caller as well, not really that common in a lot of scout combos. You don't tend to have your scout as the main caller. Most teams like to go for the pocket or the
medic
or
demo.
the demo.
Yeah.
Sometimes medic's kind of. I feel like on SVIFT, it's.
You can tell my age here. I'm like thinking back to the Nox days.
Yeah, exactly. No, I understand.
Those were the good days.
I understand your opinion on that. But I think it's more. Yeah. With Pappy, for example, Pappy and Seeds have more of an old school calling combo. So like Seeds is like the second caller, and then Pappy's kind of taken a lot of the main calling, and then they kind of switch. Whilst with Ascent, it's mainly around AMS and AMS' decisions, which means that there can be some absolute bursts of speeds from the team, but it also means that the combo feels a little bit more disconnected than other situations. But it frees up Solentes and Drac to work more as actually like almost like a double Roma combo compared to other soldier combos.
Yeah, for sure.
In the LAN.